Hey, welcome back, Queen. We are at week 4 of the Conditions of the Heart series to help you be unstoppable in your health, your wealth, and your purpose. So, the last 3 weeks, week 1, we went over self love, talking about how to truly embrace yourself as is. And then I gave awesome tips on how to make it better, improve it at the current stage that you're at this moment. Week 2 was all about depression and vulnerability and looking at this topic as not as something of shame, but of as power. And so that was a great conversation that I shared with people my story and such. So definitely go back to that. And then week 3, we talked about fear and how it's this false evidence of mindset tricks that keep showing up in our lives that's preventing us even from successful awesome things that coincide to self-sabotaging. So definitely tune in back to those previous videos if you haven't already. But I am so glad that you're here today with me because I am still on this mission. Okay, it's to focus for you on 6 weeks of pure situations and circumstances and conditions of our heart that is stopping us from living life on our terms. I know you want to live life on your terms. I know you want a life of freedom. I know you want a life of joy, inner peace. You're building a legacy for your kids, your grandkids. You don't want to be in this ugly, vicious cycle of your time nor your money. And you are seeking a life of that and you want to get to the next level. And this material and information that I've been giving for the last 3 weeks, and then we have obviously some more weeks ahead of us here, it's going to truly help you shine. But the way it shines is by applying the principles that I'm giving to you as well. I don't want you just to listen to this and say, oh, wow, great information. I want you to apply it. Okay. That's where the transformation begins. And you can also get additional support and guidance in our Tenacious Queen Unite group on Facebook. So please come and join us and ask whatever questions you need so that you can be unstoppable in your health, wealth, and purpose. So today, is all about bitterness. And bitterness is something that can creep up from childhood and stick there for a very long time. And one layer after another. I call that emotional plaque. So when the bitterness transform or actually conforms to your life, then there's these other situational uh, experiences that comes in and it just kind of keeps adding to it. It's like when you don't brush your teeth and you have plaque that builds up. Okay, if you didn't brush your teeth for 2 weeks, you know how much plaque you will have there that to get it off of your teeth. That's the same thing it happens when bitterness just keeps forming itself and building and building and building when you're not addressing it and you're just allowing life to just kind of cake up on it for you. So today I want us to address it in its entirety. And I want you to also see how it shows up in different ways than you think. Bitterness, one of the ways it definitely shows up is unforgiveness. If you've been hurt, burned, abused by anyone or anything in your life, and if you haven't had a conversation to reconcile that situation with yourself or with the people, the individual, you have unforgiveness in your heart. If you haven't come to grips of inner peace with that situation, that thing, with your ex-husband, with your baby daddy, with your parents, with your kids, with your significant other right now, your spouse, if you haven't had a true deep conversation and allowing that person or those people to say, you hurt me, and I want you to know you hurt me, and move forward from that. Now, in some cases, you can't directly go to these individuals. I get that. But I have ways for you to step into the realm of forgiving and some more, ceremonial type of exercises. And we'll talk about that as we get towards the end of this. But I want to share with you my story of how this is one of the 3 ways today that I will be sharing to you that bitterness shows up in our life, and unforgiveness is one. And with me, unforgiveness showed up in my life for decades. And it started with my father, my biological father. He was never really a part of my life. He claims me. he definitely would accept the fact that he had a daughter with my mom, but he would kind of come in and out of my life in a way that was very disturbing. I basically, by the age of 14 years old, saw him probably about 3, 4 times. And he would pop in, and I would get so excited, like, oh, wow, I'm going to have this beautiful relationship with my father. And then he just like disappears, like literally, like he passed away, you know, like moments where I'm like, should I Google search and make sure everything's all right? Or, as I got older. And when it really burned me, as a child, of course, I cried. I didn't know how to handle my feelings. And I would be upset with every man and every male figure because I'm like, every man is just like him. And so it carried in a lot of things, including my marriage. At the first 2 years of my marriage, it definitely carried into that. And because I didn't know how to address these feelings. I knew that I was so bitter with this man. I knew that I was like, every time I even heard his name, I would cringe. Okay. And it showed up in other pieces of my life. And there was the time when he came back in my life when I was married, this go around. And I didn't even know how to receive it. But I'm always a person that can forgive. I'm always a person that's give another chance, basically. I'm that type of person where I'm like, mistakes are done. It happens. Let's carry on. Okay. So he showed up in my life again. This was in my early 20s, already married. And I was kind of excited, but not as excited as I was as a child, because I learned a thing or two from the past of his interactions with me. And at this time, I did find myself shifting because he was around a little longer. So he was around this time, around 2 weeks, a month. And yes, ladies, that was a long time, okay, for him to be in my life. And so he was around and he took me out for my 30th birthday. So actually it was my late 20s. He took me out for my 30th birthday. We had this beautiful fancy dinner. And I was like, oh my God, I think this time around, he's going to stick with me. He's really going to do it. Oh my God. And okay. So I took this picture with him and I looked at it almost every day afterwards. And I was like, wow, that's my dad. Look, we look just alike. And man, I see myself in his siblings. And I just felt so great. I even shared it with my husband. I'm like, honey, this is so surreal that he's going to be part of my life. So I took this picture and I framed it. And it was actually getting now onward to Father's Day at this point because my birthday is at the end of May. And the following week or two was Father's Day coming up. And I was like, I'm going to take him out on this train trip. I'm going to pay his way. And I just want to just be just me and him because at this time, I had never been with him by myself because I never felt that comfortable to be near him at that time. And when I booked this, I was like that's when the child of me came out. That's when the inner child was like, woo, my daddy, I get to be around him. Oh my God, daddy's little girl. I get to, just be that girl that I always wanted to be. And then he texts me within about 20 minutes when I was about to leave the house to go meet him at the train station on Father's Day. He says, I can't show up today. I can't do it. And it's an emergency and I can't show up. And I'm like, oh, okay, wow, emergency. I hope everything's okay, And then I was like, okay, hurtful. Don't know what's happening here. But if there's an emergency, I'm an adult. I'm mature enough to respect these type of situations. Then I kind of carried on. But then as I was scrolling through Facebook, he was out with his girlfriend and got new shoes and new whatevers. And I mean, looking crisp as ever and just having fun. And I'm like, immediately that struck me because I'm like, you dropped me that's your emergency? That's your emergency? Like this was an opportunity for us to reconcile something for years and decades of hurt and pain and unforgiveness and just all the lack of love and compassion and mercy and grace in this relationship. And I was dropped just like that all over again. I cried so hard that night, 30 years old, ladies, crying on my husband's shoulder, saying that this man has left me. I literally felt my heart break. And at that point, I said, you are never going to get in my heart again. I'm never going to allow you to get to this point. You're not going to do that. And so then some years carried on. And then I started writing my book, Unstoppable Tenacity. And it's on Amazon. You can go check it out. It's 42 bite-sized chapters that help queens like you be unstoppable. But in the book, as I was writing my unforgiveness story, I started realizing I need to forgive this man and let it go. So I'm telling you all this to say is that you don't even know how much it shows up in your life, because when I actually went back to the child at every stage, so he came in my life, there was different age groups that he came in my life. I went back to that Erica and I wrote letters to her of things that is okay, honey. It was not towards you. He don't even know how to be a daddy himself. His daddy left him. And I kept writing stories to myself at every stage. It was at 4 years old when I kind of vaguely remember him being around, 8 or 9, 14, and then basically my 30-year-old story. And I wrote letters separately. And then what I did, I cried out, I wept, I did whatever I needed to do, and I came up with my conclusions of to forgive him because he just didn't know. He don't know. He still don't know, guys. He's still not in my life that much. And I forgave him. I let it go. I said, I cannot allow this pain to keep walking with me in my life because I need to be unstoppable. I want to live a life on my terms, not living life based on my circumstances or my heart or the conditions of my heart, but living a life of full freedom of peace and joy. And that's the only way you can do it. So check yourself, Queen. Find out if there's some unforgiveness there and truly analyze it and write a letter back to the person at the moment of the onset of the encounter of when the unforgiveness or when the hurt and the pain started, and forgive that person at that moment. Not the moment right now. There's years and later layers of things that's happened between then and now that it's hard to forgive all that. But if you go back to that moment and truly live in there and forgive that person, thing, or place, or whatever that is, or yourself, get it done. You'll feel so much more free. I feel so much more free. Seriously, like I have no unforgiveness towards this man to this day. Every time he reached out to me again when I wrote my book recently, I said, thank you so much. Awesome. I would love to see you. I even went out and saw him at my aunt's house. No ill feelings. Hugged him, everything. Never even hugged him before prior to that, but I hugged him this time because I forgave him. It's over. It's done. There's nothing to even stress about. I got other bigger fish to fry in my life. I cannot be stuck on that. So another way that bitterness does show up in our lives is jealousy. Especially as women, when we look out on the horizon, we see other tenacious queens out there doing their thing or being the best moms they can be or having these awesome relationships that we do desire to have or making the money that we really want. It's very easy to look on their side and think that their grass is greener than us. But I want you to think about this. Your grass could be green too if you water it. Put some water on your grass, queen. Figure out ways that you can get closer to those goals. And one thing you can do when you look at others and you're a little triggered by what their successes are, use it as an indicator of evidence that it's possible. That every time I look out there and I see someone doing something that I really want to do, I'm like, thank you for the evidence that it's possible. I know that I can maybe achieve it, do it better, do something different, but I know it's possible. It's available at my fingertips if I put the dedication, the consistency, and the grit that's needed to move forward in that destiny or that goal that I have for myself. Because if it's triggering you, there's something in your inner soul that is yearning for attention. Okay, so really analyze the thoughts that you're having when you get jealous because there's something in there that's triggering. So if you look out and you see somebody in an awesome, thriving marriage and it triggers you, that means you may be lacking that or you really desire that. Okay, so just get in tune with your own feelings, and it's okay to be a little jealous here and now and then, but don't allow it to creep into a point where it becomes bitterness because that is what's going to condemn you and stop you from being truly unstoppable in this life that you want to set your terms for and living in your own way. So just know that this can be something that can completely throw you off the grid on living life on your terms. The third way that bitterness shows up in our life is through regret. So if you've done some things in your past and you just didn't do it the way you thought it should be done, or you didn't succeed at something, you just, maybe you was childish at that moment, kind of immature, or maybe you just slipped up and you just didn't really know exactly how to go about this. Or maybe you're just being pure lazy and you just really didn't put the effort that you needed into whatever that goal has been for you. I want you to find a way to pull yourself out of the rubbles of condemnation and guilt, because this can stop you so much in your journey. When you carry around this looming cloud of condemnation and guilt, it's like this plague of just I don't even know how to really explain it. It's just this heavy load that everybody can feel through you, like, ooh, like you just feel it off somebody. You're like, oh my, you are like really heavy. And so I want you to identify in ways, how are you regretful right now? And if you are, write a forgiveness letter to yourself. Forgive yourself. Say it in the mirror to yourself. It's okay. Move forward. Let go of these things, because this stuff will fester and it will grow, and it will grow like that emotional plaque that I was talking about to you earlier. Queen, you can be unstoppable, but you have to take the time to address some of these things. So I want you to make sure you go to our Tenacious Queen Unite group and tell me, what is the aha that you've had today for yourself? You know, in what ways is bitterness showing up in your life? Is it unforgiveness? Is it jealousy? Or is it regret? Share it with the group. Us queens are here to support you. We want to make sure that you are living life on your terms, and that you are getting all the peace, the joy, the laughter, the vitality and energy that you want for yourself. All right. So stay tuned for another week that's to come. Week 5 is coming, but I am so glad that you've been tuning in. And I just want you to know that I love you. I'm here for you. And I truly am here to support you and guide you through your path of this beautiful journey that you've been starting here with me in these last few weeks. So thank you so much for allowing me to impart in your journey at this moment. All right, Queen, I will talk to you soon and see you on the other side. Bye.